You are going to die, and eventually no trace of you will remain. Not symbolically, not romantically, literally. For a while, a few people will remember you. Your children might carry your name. Your grandchildren might repeat a story or two, but time erases fast. A handful of generations pass, and you vanish completely. No one speaks your name. No one knows your face. Every fear you carried, every victory you fought for, every quiet moment you survived, gone, as if none of it ever happened. And here's the most uncomfortable part. Reality doesn't notice. It didn't react when you arrived, and it won't pause when you leave. The universe doesn't register your ambitions, your suffering, or your best days. It isn't watching. It isn't keeping score. It doesn't care. That's why people lie about meaning. They invent purpose, destiny, grand narratives, not because they're true, but because the truth is unbearable without decoration. So here it is, stripped bare. You are not important in any cosmic sense. You never were. And accepting that isn't nihilism, it's liberation. Let's tear something down while we're here. Everything you've been told to chase, the career, the reputation, the image, the status, it's all theater. A performance staged for an audience that isn't paying attention. You imagine yourself climbing towards some peak called success, but there is no summit, no finish line, no moment where everything locks into place and you finally feel whole. That moment was invented to keep you moving, to keep you productive, to keep you buying, to keep you exhausted and compliant. And you believed it because the alternative, that there is no ladder at all, is terrifying when you first see it. So stop for a second and interrogate your life. Why do you want what you want? Why that job? Why that relationship? Why that version of yourself? If your answer is because that's what you're supposed to do, or because that's what people do, then here's the hard truth. You are not living. You are acting. You're following a script written by parents, institutions, traditions, long-dead thinkers, and belief systems created by people who barely understood the world they lived in. And you've organized your entire existence around their definitions of what matters, even though nothing objectively does. Albert Camus looked at this contradiction and called it the absurd. Not absurd like funny, absurd like horrifying. A conscious mind trapped in a universe that refuses to explain itself. You ask why, and the universe answers with silence. You crave meaning the way lungs crave air, and all you're given is randomness, decay, and eventually death. That's the deal. And most people can't face it, so they run. They run to religion and imagine a loving plan behind all the suffering, even as innocent people die senselessly and monsters live comfortably. They run to nationalism and convince themselves a patch of dirt makes them special. They run to ideology and pretend history has moral direction instead of mass graves. They run to self-help and magical thinking, acting as if the universe responds to affirmations and vision boards. Anything to avoid admitting the truth. There is no answer. There never was. You are alone in an indifferent reality, telling yourself stories to make the darkness tolerable. Émile Cioran didn't soften this. He said being born is not a gift, it's a disaster. You didn't ask to be here. You didn't consent to awareness. You were dropped into existence, forced to recognize your own insignificance, and given no exit except death, which may simply be more nothing. That's the trap. A rock doesn't suffer this way. An animal doesn't question its purpose. Only you do. You're intelligent enough to see the problem, but powerless to fix it. That tension, that awareness without escape, is the human condition. And this is where most people shut down. They hear nothing matters and conclude, then why bother? That's weakness, because meaninglessness isn't a reason to quit. It's the removal of every excuse not to live. When nothing matters, you're no longer imprisoned. You're free. Completely, terrifyingly, unavoidably free. Free from expectations you didn't choose. Free from standards you never agreed to. Free from the burden of being special, remembered, or justified. There is no cosmic authority grading your life. And that freedom is so overwhelming that most people crawl back to comforting illusions just to escape it. Here's something you need to understand clearly. You will never discover meaning. You can read every philosopher, follow every teacher, pray to every god, and you will never uncover a hidden purpose waiting for you. Because it doesn't exist. The universe isn't a puzzle with your name on it. It's mechanical, chaotic, indifferent. Stars explode without reason. Galaxies collide without intent. Black holes erase everything without judgment. You are not chosen. You are not necessary. You are here because biology happened. That's it. And once that truth sinks in, not intellectually, but viscerally, you stop wasting your life searching for answers that aren't coming. But here's the pivot. You may not be able to find meaning, but you can create it. Not because it's eternal, not because it's objective, but because you're conscious and capable of choosing. That choice, deciding what matters to you in a universe that doesn't care, is the only real freedom you have. Yes, the meaning you create is temporary. Yes, it dies with you. So what? You're going to die anyway. At least this way, you live something that belongs to you instead of expiring under someone else's expectations. Look at your life honestly. How much of it is actually yours? How much of your daily behavior reflects what you truly value versus what you were trained to value? You wake up, you work, you're tired, you scroll through curated illusions, you sleep, you repeat, all for money, stability, and approval in a system that doesn't care whether you're fulfilled, only that you keep functioning. That isn't living. That's prolonged self-erasure. And here's the part no one puts on motivational posters. Freedom is heavy. Real freedom means responsibility. It means you can't blame your parents, your upbringing, society, fate, or the universe anymore. Your life is the result of your choices. Every compromise, every silence, every time you chose safety over honesty. Jean-Paul Sartre called the refusal to accept this bad faith. Pretending you're trapped when you're actually afraid. Staying where you are because leaving would cost comfort. Calling it destiny instead of fear. You can choose safety. You can choose comfort. Just don't lie about it. Now think about the goals you're chasing. The ones you believe will finally complete you. You've reached goals before, and the satisfaction faded. Because achievement doesn't generate meaning. It never has. You're trying to solve an existential problem with material tools. Wrong problem, wrong solution. Camus told the story of Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder uphill forever, only to watch it roll back down. And Camus said we must imagine him happy, not because the task matters, not because he's delusional, but because he accepts reality and owns it. That ownership is rebellion. And that's the point. Accept that life has no built-in meaning, and choose to care anyway. Choose kindness anyway. Choose creation anyway. Not because you're commanded to, but because you decided that's who you are. Love even though it ends. Connect even though everyone leaves. Care even though it doesn't last. That's not weakness. That's defiance. And yes, despair will still come. Depression will still whisper. But the pain isn't caused by meaninglessness. It's caused by expecting meaning where none exists. Once you stop waiting for life to justify itself, the weight shifts. It doesn't disappear, but it becomes bearable. Freedom looks like choosing what matters today and doing it, then choosing again tomorrow. That's it. No grand secret, no hidden truth, just this moment, this choice, this boulder. You're pushing it either way, so you might as well push it consciously.